What's the best way to prepare for IELTS speaking so you get a band 8? Let's listen to this interview with one of my students and find out. Hello, this is Keith from the YouTube channel English Speaking Success and the website The Keith Speaking Academy. Today I've got a great interview for you. It's an IELTS Speaking Success story. It's one of my students who's been following the Gold course, and she recently got a band 8 in the IELTS Speaking on her 3rd attempt. Success at last. Her name is Yoona from China, although she's now living in Australia. And this interview is full of tips, ideas, and I hope inspiration for you. And listen carefully to what we say about the best way to prepare for IELTS speaking. Let's jump straight in. Right.
Hi.
So, hello, Yoona. Hi. Nice to see you. How are you?
I'm good.
Great. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's really nice to see you. And I'm looking forward to hearing about your journey with IELTS and maybe also some tips to help other students today. Let's begin with you and originally where you're from and where you are now.
Well, as you already know, I come from China, and at the moment I'm based in Melbourne.
Right. And how long have you been there?
Well, I've been here for over 2 years.
Okay, right. And what are you doing in Melbourne at the moment?
Well, currently I just finished IELTS, so I'm looking for a job.
Okay, so you've just done IELTS recently. How did it go?
Well, how did it go? Well, you mean what I scored in IELTS? So
Yeah, what you scored and your feeling about the test.
yeah, actually, this was my 3rd time to take that test in this year. So actually, I just felt at ease in the test because I was confident.
Mm-hmm.
And I got band 7 for reading and writing. And in terms of speaking, I got band 8 and a band 8.5 for listening.
Fantastic. Well done, you. Very, very, very good. That's excellent. Good. So I guess the main question now is, why did you take IELTS?
Well, I guess it all boils down to my profession because I used to study teaching at university. So in order to become a qualified teacher here in Victoria, I need to take IELTS to meet the language requirement for my registration.
Right. Okay, good. So now you mentioned you're looking for a job. You're looking for a job in Melbourne as a teacher. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay. Let's talk a bit about preparation for IELTS then. So, for IELTS generally, but also IELTS speaking, how did you prepare?
Well, I would say that's a long story. So let's cut it short. Actually, if the truth be told, I didn't spend a lot of time on reading, writing, and listening because, speaking is my weakest sport. Mm-hmm. I remember I only got band 6.5 in speaking, in my first attempt. So at that time, I felt like I needed to get some help to improve my speaking. So I just got online and searched for IELTS speaking. I tell you what, your videos popped up and caught my eye.
Right.
So I still remember the first video I watched. I guess it was your live lesson about the topic of city. That impressed me a lot.
Ah, interesting. The cities. Yeah. Okay.
So after that, I went to your YouTube channel and watched most of your videos.
Wow, that's a lot of videos.
So your life lessons, your fluency dream, which is great, and also some speaking tips. And after that, my speaking score just went up to band 7. So in fact, that brings me to the reason why I decided to buy your course.
Right. So then, okay, you bought the course, you joined the gold course, right? I remember because you were very active in the Facebook group. We have a private Facebook group community, and you were one of the very active members in there. I do remember. How did that help you?
Well, I would say I love that you've created this learning community for us to learn from each other. And I actually benefited a lot from it. I mean, not only from your live lessons and Zoom calls afterwards, but also all the posts and comments from you and other students. I picked up a lot of useful expressions from those, posts. And also, I would say, in terms of the live lessons and Zoom calls, it gives me the opportunity to interact with, people from different backgrounds, and we need to use English to communicate, right? So I think that also give me the opportunity, like, to improve my fluency in that kind of language.
Right. That's interesting. That's great. I mean, I guess some students may not know the Zoom calls is a fairly new thing that I'm doing in the Facebook group, in the private Facebook group, where we jump on a call together. Normally there's about 20, right? About 20 people who join in, and they're students from the gold course, and you get to break away into breakout groups and chat with one or two other people. Just a chance to practice. Did you meet some interesting people in your groups?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I can't remember their names exactly,
Sure.
but I would say they are from different countries, like from Russia, from Malaysia, and from some European countries. And it's interesting to talk with those people, because I could, they just shared some different ideas and different perspectives in terms of one particular topic. And that also built up my world bank as well.
Right. Yeah. I mean, your confidence is blooming. You're clearly a very confident speaker now, which is lovely to see. I'm curious now about Melbourne and Australia, because coming from China to live in Australia is a very different culture. Different. I'm looking at your background. It looks like, I don't know if Melbourne is as beautiful as that, but living now in Australia, have you had a culture shock when you went there?
Well, that's a good question. Actually, I didn't, because, before I came to Australia, I've already searched a lot about the information here, and I've also practiced my English as well. So, and, the interesting thing was, when I came to Australia, the COVID just happened. So I was forced to stay at home, and that's why I didn't have a lot of chances to interact with local people and to be involved in the local community.
Well, hopefully that should improve, right? As things are opening up now, as once you get a job, you'll have a chance to be interacting a lot more with people there. Yeah, fantastic. And thinking about other students who are preparing for IELTS now, you've been through the journey. If you were to give some tips or suggestions to students who are maybe just starting their journey of IELTS preparation, what would you say to those students?
Well, from my perspective, I wouldn't say there's a best way for each student to practice English, but I would say one thing that always helps is practice, because we all know practice makes perfect, right? So I think for me, it is my key to success. So in terms of practice, I've got two tips. First of all, I think record yourself and listen to your recordings, which is important, because when you listen back, you will always find your mistakes or some well that you think your fluency is not very good. And if you are not satisfied with your answers, then I would recommend you to repeat the action until you couldn't find anywhere to improve.
And do you do audio or video recordings?
Either would be okay, because I would recommend video, because I know some students are not very confident in speaking English, including me. I used to be very shy and I would easily get embarrassed. So the way I used was to talk to myself in front of the mirror. And I found it to be a great way to build my confidence and also get rid of embarrassment.
Yeah, fantastic. That's a great way. Very good. I love the idea of recording. It really can help a lot. And I like what you said at the start, that there's not a best way for everybody, because I think, especially on social media, I think students sometimes think there is a secret method that is the best way that you must find. And I agree, it's not true. That actually what's the best method for you might not be the best method for me, that everybody needs to find what works for them, right, in the best way. So practice, hugely important. How often did you practice?
Well, I practice on a daily basis, and I've got a speaking partner. We would practice regularly, and she's your student as well, and we are big fans of you.
Great.
Yeah, so I think getting a person to practice with you and also give you some feedback is particularly important. Because my experience has been my speaking partner could always point out some issues that I couldn't easily notice when I practiced alone. So to some extent, I think it's necessary to have someone to help you identify your problems and listen to your speaking. Yeah.
That's great. And that person doesn't have to be a teacher. It doesn't have to be a native speaker. It can be somebody who's similar level to you, right?
Yeah. I feel like so long as there's a person, and whether to give you some feedback, whether it's positive or negative, whether it's your speaking partner or a professional teacher.
Right. That's brilliant. That's great. Well, those are very, very valuable tips and ideas for other students. Now for you moving forward, you're in Melbourne. What are you doing? What are your next steps?
Well, at the moment, I'm waiting for my teacher qualification. And once I get that, I'll be able to work as a teacher. And yeah, I would say the job market is not very competitive, because there's a massive lack of teachers in Australia.
Right. I imagine also in the early years, childhood education, right, which is your focus. Yeah. Fantastic. Great. Well, Yoona, I think we'll wind up here. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's great to hear about your success with your IELTS speaking and getting that score. And thanks for sharing tips and ideas for other students. I'm sure you'll be a great source of inspiration for other people as well. And good luck in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Not at all. My pleasure. We'll stay in touch. Thank you very much, Yoona. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Yoona, for sharing your story. And thank you to all of you for watching. I hope this has been useful for you, giving you some ideas and inspiration. Remember, as Yoona said, it's all about the practice. And if at first you don't succeed, try, and try again, right? Never give up. I once had a mentor and I was working on a project with him. This was when I was much younger than today. And I said, how long will you keep going on this project? And he just said, I will until. Amazing. And that stuck with me, right? I will carry on doing it until it's done. Full stop. So stay focused, stay motivated. I am here with you on your journey. If you want to find out more about the course that Yoona took, you can click on the link below, find out the details. If you haven't downloaded my free PDF, The 10 Most Common Mistakes in IELTS Speaking, go and click on the description. Go and get that. It's a good place to start. That's it, my friends. Take care and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.